What's up, everybody? It's Brandon LeCaren here, and today we are talking about new construction and when the best time is to buy new construction. So, new construction is very attractive. People love new construction because everything is fancy. It feels new. It smells new. It's like people say that new car smell. It's got that new house smell. That is like probably one of my most favorite smells. Not gonna lie. So new construction is very attractive, especially for today's home buyers or people that are just looking to buy a new home, right? So I wanted to give a couple tips on when to purchase new construction because right now I think is a good time to buy new construction because there are some factors that are showing that I kind of monitor to see, what home builders are thinking, right? Because they're kind of sort of, I would say home builders and new home sales are like a leading indicator of what the market is going to do. So, for instance, like new home builders provide incentives, right? So, if you see that incentives for updates is only like $10,000, it might be a fairly even market or even sort of like a seller's market. But if you see like they're offering like 30, 40, 50K, like it shows you that they're incentivizing more buyers to come in and buy property because they're kind of sweating bullets a little bit. They're holding on to inventory, and there's sort of on the back end of that, they're not able to do certain things. So let me talk to you first of all, like of how home builders work, right? So typically a developer will go out and they will develop a piece of property and say, we're going to build, maybe 200 homes on this piece of property. They get approval and whatnot. Well, that property or that 200 homes, they cannot just go out and start building 200 homes. They have to submit a draw schedule to the bank because most times they're not paying for this development via cash. They're paying for it with essentially a loan, right? So they might put down 20%. They'll raise the money, put down about 20%, and they will get the rest of it for a loan. So when they go to the bank is going to ask them for a draw schedule and say, hey, what is your plan? Just like if you were building a new home, right, yourself, there's a draw schedule. There's a draw schedule for developments as well. So the bank's going to say, okay, well, you need to invest, like $10 million on infrastructure with drainage and roads and clearing the land or whatever, right? So they're going to be like, okay, that's going to be draw one. So developing the land is going to be draw one. Draw two is going to be curbs and asphalt and stuff like that, so on and so forth. So once that initial site development is done, you can then start building homes. So they don't just release all of the lots. Like if you notice, like when you go to a home builder, they will have like a map and they'll say like, hey, this section is being sold right now. Section 2 has not been released yet. Well, that shows you it shows you the different phases of the project. So phase 1, let's say you're still in phase 1, they might be they need to sell about a certain percentage of phase 1 in order to open up phase 2. So because phase 2 always almost, if it's just a 2-phase project, phase 2 almost always have the most desirable lots. They almost inevitably do. So they want to kind of pre-sell all the crappy lots, in my opinion, first before they move on to the more favorable lots. So you'll notice those lots are closer to the road, more road noise. Maybe the lay of the land is not the same as some of the ones in the back of the piece of the property where it's more flat or it slopes away from the house. A lot of them might have some hills in the beginning phases. So again, they're thinking like, hey, we got to get rid of these bottom dwellers, right? So bottom dwellers of lots. So essentially, like when they do that at the beginning of the phase, of banks going to say, okay, on phase 1, you need to be 80% sold out in order for us to lend you money to start phase 2. So they're going to say, so their goal is to try to sell as much of phase 1 before they go to phase 2. Because the banks don't want them to start a phase and start another phase and start another phase. Because what it does is it kind of messes up the project and their pricing. So another thing to notice with builders is that when they start pricing, they start at the lowest. And then over time, as they sell 5 homes, 6 homes, they'll raise the price up a few $1,000s. Same thing, raise the price up again, a few $1,000s. Sell 5 homes, raise the price up. Sell another 5 homes, raise the price up. So that's one of the things you will notice. But what I've noticed recently is that prices are coming down, right? We're seeing price cuts by builders. And we're also seeing more incentives by builders. So the best time to buy, which is what we're gonna get into, is when you see that signal, right? Now on my end, like I have a leading indicator because I see that the market is starting to pick up, but most home builders aren't seeing that traffic. They're not seeing those multiple offers because 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 of high interest rates or relatively high interest rates, they are creating more incentives. They're saying like, hey, we'll give you $50,000. We just had one late last year that they give the people about $50,000 in incentives in order to build with them. Now, typically, they will require you to use their lender and also their title company. But most of the times, what you don't know is you could shop those people and compare. They're still very competitive, and they're generally like a local lender. So, like you could still compete, and you can still get them to compete for your business without having to avoid you not getting the incentives. So let's talk about time frame. So first of all, like when you're looking at new homes, you want to go in the beginning of a phase or at the end of a phase. So when they're opening up a new phase, they will tend to have lower prices on that phase, or when they're closing it out, like right now, like because interest rates are high and they haven't been able to move a lot of inventory, they're starting to drop price. So this could be a good time to jump into it. And remember, like we're tracking for interest rates to drop a lot more this year. So this could be like if you get in now, by the time you close 3 months down the road, you could get a more favorable rate and have a favorable price that most people would have not paid, right? Because as the interest rates drop, their prices are going to go up again. So timing is everything. So you want to get in at the beginning of a phase, and at the end of a phase, they're generally going to have the best pricing, as well as end of like end of seasons, right? So like fall and winter are probably like more desirable to purchase a new home because then you can get more incentives. They're trying to do end of year sales. They're trying to get closeout, or like right now they're trying to build momentum into this year. So their goal is to sell as many homes as they can as fast as they can because they're not sure what the market is going to do. It's also an election year, so remember to look into those phases, see when new developments are starting, and then try to get in at the beginning or at the end of each phase. The next thing is the end of the fiscal quarters. So going back to, like how they determine what the best time is to open up a new phase, they all have fiscal quarters. Like, so they need to essentially sell certain homes every quarter for their lenders and their investors to hit their mark, and their goal is to do that. So they may end up like selling more homes than they really need to, and trying to just offload their books, because the more inventory that they have, the less that they can borrow, and the less likely it is for the bank to open up the next phase, and that kind of it hurts their pricing strategy. So you want to make sure that you are getting right when they start dropping, like right now, home prices are going down in terms of new construction is what we're seeing, because some of them are a little bit greedier. And remember, you want to go into it at the beginning of a phase. So at the beginning of the phase, when a new development happens, you want to talk to the sales rep or talk to your agent and ask them to find out when is the beginning of this phase. If you prefer to be in a more desirable lot location, you need to ask your agent or whoever is helping you, hey, ask them when they're going to open up phase 2 or phase 3 or 4, whatever it might be. But you want to kind of be the first one to get in there, because they do have incentives to close out and open up those new phases so that they could raise prices faster. The faster that they sell homes, the faster they raise prices. So they kind of have like this like teeter-tottering thing, like where they want to get some pre-sales done, but at the same time, like they don't want to get too many pre-sales done. So if you notice, they will try to limit the inventory squeeze and really manipulate the inventory squeeze. So make sure that when you're looking at new homes, that you're kind of just keeping an eye on that. One thing too I will add is that if you have a less desirable lot than another lot, yes, it does hurt your home value in the future. But one thing is that on the resale side of things, if the entire neighborhood has like crappy lots and it backs up, a major highway or something, you're really not, the money that you spend for lot premiums or anything like that the builder try to upsell you on, it's really not going to matter on the resale market. When you go back to sell that property, it's really not going to matter if all the lots are about the same. The other thing is upgrades. with upgrades, always go for structural options. Go for structural options, floors, and kitchen. That's it. Like don't do the fancy crown molding. Add that in later yourself. Like maybe do a DIY project or just hire a handyman to come in and do it. But always go for the bigger square footage options, like the structural options, as well as kitchen and floors. Put your money there. Put the incentive money there because that's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck later on the resale. Remember, you want to try to get the most square footage in a new home for the least price per square foot. There you have it. So the other thing too is that at the end of an economic change, right? So right now, like I said, because we're starting to get out of this higher interest rate market, people are scared. People, as in developers and investors, they're concerned about the market and what it's going to do. So you could get in there and say, what are your incentives? And they will be calling you because they're all keen on trying to sell these properties, right? They're all worried and they want to sell them. So when they get a buyer that walks in the door that seems very motivated to buy, but also don't need to buy, it could put them on edge and it could give you the advantage in order to jump on a great deal. So remember, ask them what incentives, have comps, and show them hey, well, market's downturn. I need, this is where my payment needs to be, right? And that way you can also work their lender a little bit to get you in a price point that you like, because a lot of times they fluff those numbers in order to give you those incentives. So, because it comes from the lenders or it comes from the title company. So remember to really negotiate hard. Have a strong negotiator in your corner. Don't do this on your own. I highly recommend using a professional like us. Would love to help you guys on your new build. Anyways, so I hope this is, helpful to you guys. Remember, look for the beginning of the phase. You understand how home builders and developers now work, and that you want to make sure that you spend your incentives on structural upgrades, floors, and kitchen, because those are harder things to generally change. So hope this video was helpful. Hit the subscribe button below, follow, comment, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.